Hi everyone, it is the penultimate group chat of the week. Glad you could join us wherever you're watching in the world. We do hope you're okay. And the lads are here again. That's David May, Wes Brown, Danny Webber, and Ben Thornley. Lads, here we are again. How you doing? You all right?
Hi, Stu.
Sun is shining, Stu.
It is. Well, it is here. Let's check in with our weatherman, Ben Thornley. It's not quite as good as it is up here, mate, in the northwest of England, no?
It's not bad. It's intermittent, I think they use, don't they?
That's a good word. That is a good word. Maisie, you were saying, and certainly Dwight was saying, you're going to go out and play a bit of golf yesterday on the first day that golf courses were open.
Yeah.
How did you play?
Yeah, great to be back in my own club, North Manchester Golf Club, but that was shocking. First one, out of bounds down the left. There's a lake there, and I think I put it in there. Didn't even bother. Out of the first 9 fairways, I think he hit 1, 2, and both them come off trees. I was garbage. But good to be back. I'm stiff as hell this morning. My back's killing me.
Yeah.
But
anyone else get out doing the thing? Make use of the new regulations now?
Not yet, Stu.
No, me neither.
No, to the supermarket, mate. That's what I did. I actually went to.
God.
That's what I've got to look forward to today, Danny.
Yeah. More practice, maybe. Just more walking. The same. Just a bit longer. A bit more often. But there you go. Golf, hopeless. But for you, Maisie, I mean, you're not bad, are you? You just had a bad start yesterday.
Yeah. A little bit quick, I think, Stu. Coming on the inside, bit of slice on it. Yeah. You won't understand.
Practice makes perfect. Well, listen, loads of reaction to no wonder to Dwight Yorke's appearance here yesterday. We'll just go through some of the notes and the emails, some of the reaction on social media that you left. This one, Kofi, one of the best strikers for Manchester United. Emma, great combination with Cole, great player. Gary Booth, Dwight Yorke hasn't aged at all. Great player. He hasn't aged at all, which is quite irritating, isn't it? You're quite right. Those were on Facebook. These were from YouTube. Lee, listening to the 4 of you and Stewart is great. Keep going. Loved singing the Wes and Maisie songs. Yeah, they're still going with the Wes and Maisie songs, which is good. No one sang the Ben song, mind you, did they, Ben? Have you got another version for us today after yesterday's questionable one? No?
Trust me, plenty of people have sung it.
We've got an Oompa Loompa song for him.
And this one. Thank you. These group chats have been brilliant so far. Seem to be getting even better. The more candid the guest, the better the chat. And in this regard, I must say that Yorke and Lee Sharp were the most candid of all, although Quinton Fortune was the most hilariously waved. There's no doubt about that one. And here's one here. Yorkie was candid. Brilliant to hear him talk about his journey and especially the Sunderland part where he played under Keno. That was funny. Emails as well. I listen to your group chat every day. Some days I can't help but chanting about Wes Brown. I live in Creswell near Worksop. Can't wait to see Man United again. There you go, Wes. You're still going strong, that song, mate. Still going strong.
Yeah, not bad. I don't sing it though, Stu. So.
You know it though, don't you?
Come on, Wes.
I do know it. The kids sing it to wind me up. Kids sing it to wind me up.
Do they?
How's it going?
Yeah. I can't remember, Dan.
Right, okay.
No chance.
No. This one, Andy from Derby. What a great show. You've started with the group chat and the star guest every day. You definitely need to try and carry on with the show after lockdown is finished. Say a weekly show with the boys. That'd be good. Also, we've had some great guests. Now we need the main 2 stars, Sir Alex Ferguson and Cristiano Ronaldo. You're not asking much there, are you? You're not asking much. We'll do our best. We'll ask the question. We'll see how we get on. But let's bring on our guest today. What a player for United in the 1980s. Youngest man to score in the FA Cup final. Youngest man to play in a World Cup. A hero to so many in that era. If you're a United fan in the 80s, you'll love this fella. Norman Whiteside. Morning, Norm. How you doing?
Morning, Stuart. Morning, lads.
Hi,
Morning, Norman.
Morning, Norm.
Oh, great.
How is lockdown for you? And how have you been entertaining yourself, Norman?
Well, I can't pass the fridge. You have to open the door, don't you? Have a look and see what's in. So, actually, Stuart, I've read a couple of books. One United book. Okay, so I've read that one from William Barton. And then I'm in the middle of reading another one, not a United one, but one called Retired. And it's all about ex-footballers when you're retired. And it's very fascinating. It's dead interesting, actually. I'm only into it 100 pages. And little statistics that keep coming up, like 2 out of 5 players that earned over 40,000 a week go bankrupt when they finish playing. And then it goes on about divorces. And then I'm on mental health at the moment, which doesn't say much, but I'm doing the mental health topic at the moment. But it is fascinating what players get up to. And the other little statistic I remember was that there was over 150 ex-players that actually went to jail or have been in jail since their retirement. So there's a lot of talk out there about what ex-players like us lot, what we do after football. It's quite interesting.
I want to start with, actually, you brought it up there, Norman, because obviously you people know, but in case they don't, you basically had to retire in pretty much your mid-20s, really, because of knee trouble. Looking back now, you're talking about mental health. How mentally tough was that? You're playing football every day, and all of a sudden, I suppose the next day, you're waking up and hang on, I've got nothing to do or nowhere to go.
It was the hardest thing, Stewart, for me for a day. I woke up, I looked out the window in a decent house like Wes's there. I had some greenery in the garden. And I looked out and I had nowhere to go. And I cried my eyes out, back into bed, threw the duvet over my head and cried my eyes out for a day. And then I thought, well, why are you looking for sympathy? Get up and do something with your life. And that's the hardest thing I did. Went back to school, did my GCSEs for a year, A-levels for a year, honours degree course at Salford, postgraduate degree course at Manchester. So I did all that when I finished. So I didn't lie low for too long.
A lot of people would struggle. They would struggle, but I guess there's probably more help about today than there was back then. Was there any help back then for you?
I think the PFA had something going for them, but not quite as intense as it is now. When you look around the corner, there's psychologists, there's everything for every department now. In our day, you sort of had to get on with it. I mean, there was no press, how to deal with the press. I mean, you mentioned the World Cup there. I mean, my first real up against the press was in the World Cup, and I didn't speak the 22 languages, but I was interviewed in the 22 languages. And it was very, Billy Bingham, our manager then, just went, go, there's the press, and sort it out for yourself. And they're asking me questions in their own language, and I was forgetting what the question was, and it was difficult, but you soon learn, don't you? You soon learn.
All of you guys have actually been affected in some way by injury one way or another. Particularly, I'll bring you in here, Ben. Obviously, we all know that you had a savage injury. I suppose you can relate a little bit to Norman, even though you played a little bit longer than that. But I suppose you can certainly relate to what he's saying there.
Yeah, without any question. I mean, it's obviously I was fortunate enough to be able to go on slightly longer, and I don't know whether that was the nature of Norman's injury or the treatment that he actually got for it, because obviously as the football world evolved, so does the science around it. I was very fortunate to be at Manchester United, where I had the help that I needed, and things like psychologists, when you're touching on mental health, was something that I was offered, and I'm not sure whether that would have been something that was available to Norman back in the day. But all these things are sent to try us, and football has a way of being able to help you along that path. And the further you go into it, and the more that the football world evolves, there are going to be more things available. And we hear so much now about mental health, which is becoming coming to the real forefront of players' problems, and the way that the FA and the Premier League and whoever else are trying to deal with it.
Yeah, did the rest of you find it tough? I remember Webbs, you were famously telling us about you popping your shoulder in to get through medicals and all sorts of horrendous things. How much of a struggle was it for you?
To be honest, I probably got to about 28, 29, and I knew my best years would be happening. So I accepted it in transition, knowing I could still play and fortunate enough to still get through games. And then I think the Salford thing was the best thing ever that could have happened to me at that period, because it was somewhere where I didn't have to train every single day. It was being part of something where you're not full-time. And then obviously you're transitioning out the game slowly. So it's like you're weaning yourself off your drug. So for me, I was fortunate enough to have the Salford thing, while I was doing that, I was educating myself on other things as well. So, you know, my transition, I've always kept mentally, so it's, you know, wasn't as sudden as the other lads.
Yeah, I mean, Wes, I've spoken to you about, you said when your last game for United, you said I basically, I knew I was done, even though you obviously still played a good few more years for Sunderland. But did you get to a point where you just think, I can't really do it anymore at the top, the very top?
Yeah, that was pretty tight, to be fair. I just think the way I knew United played and the position I played in, which was right back at the time, and the energy it took up, it was just too much strain on my knees. I just couldn't get up and down, and I knew that. I've probably known it was coming for a while. And I think most players do, to be fair. I couldn't keep up with the speed anymore, couldn't get to my opponent how I used to. So I would have had to have changed my game quite a bit to keep going, because I just didn't have it in me to do it anymore. And I knew I could play at another sort of standard, but the actual role that I know the manager wanted me to play and how he's used to looking at me and how I play. And, you know, I used to be very aggressive, get tight. I just couldn't get there anymore with the younger players. But yeah, I mean, it's one of them. I knew it. I had a good journey, and I didn't regret a thing I did.
Same for you, Maisie. You've had a few injuries in your time.
Yeah, it's tough, Stu. It's tough mentally. You know, you see the lads training day in, day out, and you're sat in there. When I snapped my Achilles, I knew that was me near enough done. It was very tough. Wes was coming through, Shazy, Rio just joined. So my games were always going to be limited to the reserves and stuff like that. But I think, as Ben touched on it there, you know, technology. I think Wes has done both his cruciates. Wes done his, Norman's with his bad knee. I think technology and the way surgeons work now, players can actually, you know, recover from really serious injuries. Back when Norman obviously was playing, yeah, he had surgeons, but not as good as what they were today. But it is tough. It is tough mentally to get through it.
Even though you were retired in your mid-20s, Norman, God, you packed a lot in, didn't you?
I did, but just hark back there a little bit, Stuart, what Maisie said. In the day when I went and had my knee operation, they took out the whole cartilage. So I played my career bone on bone from the beginning. So there's a hole in my femur, a hole in my tibia, and that was throughout my career. But then just 6 months after that, the keyhole surgery came into play, where you could go in and just shave the cartilage and leave you a little bit of, you know, absorption in your cartilage in your knee joint. So I was a bit unlucky there that the doctor thought it was easier to whip it all out. But yeah, looking back, I wouldn't swap it. I was lucky, Stuart. I started quite young, or very young. So I did a 16 to 26. So I still got 10 years with a few 15 operations or so in between. But yeah, did all right in between.
Well, I mean, you obviously played for United at 16, 1982, and then just as you turned 17, just a few weeks later, you're in the World Cup in Spain. I mean, an extraordinary start to a career. I mean, what was it like? It must have been a whirlwind.
Yeah, I actually played more games in the World Cup than I played for United, actually, that summer. I'd only played 102 minutes before I went to the World Cup. And then it was all a bit of a, you know, just get on with it. You don't really know what to expect. You just do what your job is, play football. And I just happened to play it at a very high level in the World Cup.
Yeah. What was it? I mean, I know obviously Danny can't, and maybe you lads can't, but I can sadly remember the 1982 World Cup. It was brilliant. What was it like to be involved in as a kid? What was it like?
It was a great World Cup. I loved Brazil in that World Cup. I mean, but Northern Ireland, we didn't do too bad either. But yeah, it was a great atmosphere, great World Cup. And we had a fantastic group of lads that were. But Stuart, let me tell you this little one. Northern Ireland as a group, we decided that, you know, we would divvy all the money up 22 ways, and England and Scotland, they sort of have 3 points for you playing the team, 2 points if you're sub, 1 point if you're in the stand. But we didn't do that. We divvied it up 22 ways. And we came out from my first international against Yugoslavia in Zaragoza, and I'm standing to attention, and I'm looking over Billy Bingham's head, our manager, and there's a guy called Bobby Campbell who played for Bradford City, and he stood there with a Sam McGill and a hamburger He's eating a hamburger and drinking some ale, and he's getting the same as me. Assure of the players. But it was a great place to be. 1982 was a fabulous World Cup.
Did you think you'd made it then? Did you come back to United thinking, yeah, I'm the man?
No, not really. I came back, and United were even looking for forwards. And in fact, that season, I think Big Ron had brought in Alan Brazil was about. Garth Crooks came in to try and take my place. Peter Beardsley came in. So we had a few players. That Big Ron wasn't completely convinced that I was the man, but I managed to play 55 games that season, actually, my first season. Played 55 games, which is quite a lot then. And I was always looking over my shoulder, and that's what players have got to do. Even today, you can never think your place is safe. You've got to keep looking over your shoulder to keep you going.
What about Big Ron then? You mentioned Big Ron, great character. We know him well. What was he like to play for?
Yeah, Ron was fabulous. He was one of those happy-go-lucky guys, managers. I mean, don't get me wrong, he liked a bit of discipline, but he didn't mind what you did off the park during the week, as long as you were fit for 3 o'clock on a Saturday. That was all he was worried about. 3 o'clock on a Saturday, you do it for me, you'll be in my team. And that's all he ever said to everyone. He just said, look after yourselves. But when we went on tour, same old. You're representing the club, you're representing yourselves, you're representing your families. But, hi-ho, come 3 o'clock on a Saturday, I want you fit, ready for the game.
When fans do speak to you, Norman, is the one thing they mostly speak to you about is 1985 and that finish? Is that the one that everyone claims to be at? Is that the one that mainly?
Oh, sure. I could be a multi-millionaire for the number of times people have said I was behind the goal that day. Although I do remember Wembley was pretty double-packed that day. The Stewarts were on the take, weren't they? There was a few quid flying around. That's the thing that I'd be remembered for. But you'd hopefully think there was other things you were remembered for too.
It's hard for people to get their head around it today, but the FA Cup was absolutely massive then, wasn't it? I mean, I know obviously the frustration for you might be that we didn't win the league even though we had a good team. But funnily enough, the FA Cup was absolutely massive, wasn't it?
It was a thing as a kid, and I'm sure some of the boys will agree, but when you're a kid, you always want to be in the street scoring the winning goal in a cup final. And we used to be in Belfast and chocolate gable wall. And every time I scored against that gable wall, I was scoring a winning goal at Wembley. And that was my dream. And it's just to tell people the dreams do actually come true, to go and score a winning cup final goal. And actually makes it better for me was I scored against probably the best keeper, certainly in Europe at that time, if not the world, Big Nev Southall. And he was on great form, and Everton were going for the treble as well. So it wasn't a great game of football. Like most cup finals are a bit of an anticlimax. A hot day at Wembley, and it's a bit of a disaster sometimes. And from what I remember, our game wasn't fantastic either. It wasn't a great game of football. And the turning point really was Big Kevin getting sent off. And I don't know with the rest of the boys, we just upped the ante a little bit, and Sparky found me with a great ball, and I managed to pull one out of the blue and score the winning goal.
Yeah, no, it was a great moment. You spoke about Big Ron. What about the boss, Sir Alex, when he came in? That's obviously a very different sort of manager. What was it like for the lads?
Yes, Sir Alex was very firm when he arrived. He made the rules the first morning. I remember him coming down and saying, I don't care if you're Robson, Whiteside, McGrath, I'm the manager of Manchester United. And, everyone's looking, oh my word. And he was absolutely brilliant with me. I mean, people think we fell out. We didn't at all. In fact, he was part of my deal going to Everton. He was telling me how much money to ask for. He'd practically done my deal because I'd been at the club as a kid, and the boys will tell you they're coming through the ranks that you don't get as well paid as the boys that come in and break up the pay structure. And I was going to Everton, and Fergie was saying to me, look, this is the type of money I want you to ask for. And I'm going, I can't ask for that. And he said, this is what I'm paying out here, so go and ask. And I actually earned more money playing 29 games for Everton than I did in my entire Manchester United career. So that's the way it worked out. Thanks, Ollie. Oh, and he gave me 50 grand to leave. That was nice. Not out of his own money, sure.
No, I don't think. I don't think people realise that, because people, I think, Norm, think that he, you know, wasn't having you guys really. He kind of changed everything and the so-called drinking culture and all that. I don't think people realise that story.
Oh, no, he's fantastic in the dressing room. And right to this day, I mean, we meet up at functions and dues, and it was funny at the game. I was invited by yourselves into the directors' lounge a couple of games ago, and Sir Alex was on the next table, obviously on his table. We sat and we had a right good laugh, and he's pouring me a glass of red. I said, "You wouldn't have done this 30 years ago, would you?" And we had a nice few bottles of red in the boardroom.
Was the so-called drinking culture overdone a bit in terms of how people look back at it now, or did it exist?
Well, we did enjoy a few drinks, Stuart, there's no doubt about that. But as far as we were concerned, or I was, and certainly Robbo, was we didn't drink on a Thursday night or Friday night. And some of the boys that Sir Alex brought in would have a glass of beer on a Friday at a table, but I couldn't do that. I'm all in one of those all or nothing. So we would save up. We'd go out Saturday night with the girls, whatever. Sunday we'd go to Paddy's Pub in Altrincham. Exactly. And we'd down, 15 or 16 pints and have a good day out on the Sunday. And like I say, Stuart, around about this time it was the English League centennial, and they're playing the rest of the world at Wembley. And who represented the English League against the rest of the world at Wembley? Robson, Whiteside and McGrath. And what happened at the rest of the world against the English League at Wembley? The English League won 3-0. Robson scored 2, Whiteside scored 1, and McGrath got man of the match. So Paddy's Guinness was very, very nice.
Like it.
What do you want to say?
I've drank with Norman and his missus, and I tell you what, it's a tough ask. When Norman does his dinners at Christmas, Jesus, I can't honestly God, I can't remember leaving. That's how good it's an absolute brilliant night. If anyone out there wants to go, Jesus, the cracking nights, and you'll wake up with a sore head the next morning.
Yeah, it's a 12 till 12 kind of day.
I think I've done that one, Norman, Anna. I think I've done that, Mazer.
Yeah,
I have. Yeah, that was one of my first ones.
You spoke for me, didn't you?
Yeah, that was one of my first ones. I didn't know what hit me, but I like it. But when I look back now, it was brilliant, absolutely fantastic.
What do you think about the team at the moment?
Well, we're on the up. A bit of an up and down season, but we've ended it so far on the up, really. So good improvement, and if you get to another couple in, who knows where we can go. But yeah, it's nice to say the football's looking better. We're looking more attacking. We're scoring a few more goals. So that's nice to say, rather than the negative stuff we've been having the previous season or two.
Is that how you're looking at it, Norman? We're always linked with players, obviously, but you're thinking another couple, 2 or 3, obviously, there's some big names linked with United. Is that what you're looking? That's what we sort of need to close that gap.
I'd like to see the backbone of the team, just a player, maybe defender, central defender, another midfielder, and a forward. I'd like to see 3 more. And you say who's out there? Not quite sure, Stuart. But it'd be nice if some of the good players or big names came available. I think we should go for them just to stiffen up the backbone of the team. I think we'd have a chance.
Yeah. By the way, Norman, is it true you don't swear? I've heard from Ben, I think, that you don't swear.
I've not swore since I was 11 years old, which is unbelievable, yeah. Even on the pitch, even on the park, with a nasty tackle, I still didn't swear. So it just shows you, Stuart, you can have a vocabulary without swearing.
Amazing. Is that
absolutely not? He's bang on. You've not heard me swearing there, have you, Stu?
No, maybe not. No, on the pitch.
Yeah, maybe.
Norman, before you go, I wanted to ask first of all, if you had to pick your own highlight, one of your career, what would it be?
I normally answer this by saying I haven't got just one, but if you're pushing me, it'll have to be the winning goal in the cup final. But I've got so many, Stuart, that I can look back on. I always say TM, like too many to mention. You look back to, I captained the club when I was 20 years old and looked over my shoulder and there's 10 internationals behind me. You know, things like that, you know, they're lovely memories. But as you push me, I'll have to go for the cup final goal.
The best player you played with and the best player you played against?
Brian Robson, obviously, for the 80s. Best player I played against in world football is Michel Platini. She was phenomenal for me.
Yeah, brilliant. Great to see you, Norm. Great to see you looking well as well. Keep looking after yourself. Great. Thanks for joining us, mate. Appreciate it.
Cheers, Norm.
Good luck, lads. All the best. Cheers, Stewart.
Norm.
All the best, mate. Great. Norm
Back to the
Whiteside. Yeah. Cheers, Norm. Appreciate that. If you want to get in touch with this show, you can email us mutv@manunited.co.uk, mutv@manunited.co.uk. And another great character on the show tomorrow with stories and all sorts to talk about. Mickey T, thankfully fit and well again. The great Mickey T joins us on the show tomorrow for the last show of the week. Thanks for your company, and lads, see you tomorrow. Take care.
See you later,
everyone.
everyone.